Hey guys, I'm Alex. So in the previous tutorial we made a scanning ability which highlights items, just like that. But it doesn't use a post-processing effect, so we cannot see the highlight through the wall. So in this video we'll make that. Now, from my previous tutorial I went and upgraded the way we do the scanning without post-processing. Now, instead of expanding the vertices, we make a copy of our mesh, we expand it, and then we flip the normals. This way, if you have a mesh with sharp corners, it will still look decent. So feel free to copy it if you need. Now this can also be used as a outline for your character. If we go to our mesh and we search overlay, we use the instance. Look at our character. It's glowing with an outline. It's nice. Now for our next part, we'll set up our outline so we can see it through the wall. To do that, we'll have to go to our project settings and we'll need to enable custom depth. And here custom depth stencil pass, we'll enable it with stencil. Nice. We'll go ahead and make a material and we'll call this PPM highlight. PPM being post-processing materials. Okay, we'll go in. In here, we'll go on our side panel and we'll switch the material domain to post-processing. Now we only have emissive color. The other thing we need to change, if we want glow, we'll change the blendable location. We'll switch this from scene color after tone mapping to scene color before bloom. This way, when we make our effect, we can still apply glow to the outline. Alright, so the next code we're gonna make might seem a bit complicated, but I tried to dilute it down as much as I could, simplify it. And in the next tutorial, we'll make it a bit more advanced. But for now, let's make a simple version that just gives us what we need. Let's move to the left. Alright, so let's follow along here. We'll create a screen position and then we'll do a component mask and we'll leave it by default with RNG. Next we'll need a scene textile size and we'll do again another mask, leave it by default. And here we'll do a multiply and we'll get a scalar parameter, call it outline thickness, and we'll connect it to the multiply. Now we'll get an add and also a subtract, and from the mask of screen position we'll connect this to A and then again to A of subtract, and from the scene textile size multiply we'll connect this to add B and then to subtract B. Alright, we're doing good so far. Now we'll need a scene texture and now we'll need to change this from scene color to custom stencil and make a copy of this, so copy paste it. We'll plug this from add to the UVs and subtract to the other UV. Basically what we're doing here, we're making two copies of our mesh and then we move them in opposite directions. Now we'll get another component mask and we'll only need the red channel, so turn off the green channel. Copy paste this and connect it to the other custom stencil scene texture, and then we'll subtract these two. We'll get an absolute, so ABS. We'll do a sign and here we'll add the multiply. Next, let's create our color. So we'll get the constant 3 vector, right click and convert to parameter. We'll call this highlight color and we'll need to make a float 4 out of this, otherwise we'll get some errors and we don't want that. Okay, make float and we'll make float 4, and from here we'll connect the red channels, green channel, blue channel and the alpha, and then we'll multiply the make float and we'll make a scalar parameter. We'll call this line glow and connect it there, and let's set it by default to like a 10. Now we can connect this multiply to the other multiply. Very nice. Just gonna move this a bit further back. Now we'll need an add and we'll again get another scene texture and we'll need to change this to post-processing input 0 and connect it to the add. The next part we'll do will be using an if node to check if our mesh has a certain stencil value set, otherwise we won't apply the outline to it. So we'll pull from the absolute node, we'll do if, and here we'll create a scalar parameter and we'll call this stencil ID. And we'll go for like a 3, stencil ID 3. So anything that is not value 3 for the stencil is not going to display our highlight. And we'll connect this into B. From the add, we'll connect this to A equal B. And from the post-processing input scene texture, we'll grab from color and we'll plug this into greater AB or lesser AB, and then we'll plug this into the emissive color. Very nice. I think this is it for our code. We'll need to make sure we change the color here, so I'll go for a red so it's nice and obvious. Before we move on, let's ensure that our outline thickness has a value, so we'll go for something like 2. Very nice. Make sure you apply it. So we've got the outline thickness at 2, glow at 10, and stencil ID set to 3. Now we are going to need a post-processing volume. You might have one already by default if you use the default Unreal Engine level, but if not, we'll quickly add one by going here and we'll search post-process volume and pick this one, select it, go into the search and search unbound, so we can make it so it covers the whole entire level. Otherwise you'd have to be inside the volume, and if you want to do it like that, that's totally fine, but I'm just gonna mark it so it applies to everything in the world. Now that we have this marked, we'll need to set the material, so search material in the array here, add one, choose as a reference, and we'll search for our ppm, post-processing material. Okay, that's set. If anything looks off after you set your material, then you must have messed up something when writing the material code here. If that's the case, just go over it again and make sure everything's fine. Now, to put it to the test, we'll go to one of our meshes here. We'll select the mesh in the viewport and then the mesh cube, and in here we'll search depth and enable custom depth pass, and we'll need to set this stencil value to 3 because that's what we set in our material. And look at that, it is glowy. How awesome. So again, the value is coming from here, stencil ID. If you change this value to a 2, for example, and let me apply, it's not gonna work. But then when we switch this to a 2, it works. Awesome, right? And as you can see also, we got the outer outline and the outline under the ground. And if I go behind this wall, we can still see it, which is great. Now, you might notice that it's a bit shaky, jittery, whatever you want to call it. We have two ways to fix this jitterness. Go to project settings, and in here we can either search jitter and turn it off. And now our outline is not jittering anymore, right? Or another thing you can do, so let's just show how it is. So right now it is jittering again. And if I go to project settings and search the anti-aliasing, if you change the method for the anti-aliasing from TSR to FXAA, you will get a much nicer soft glow, but of course now things are not gonna be as sharp anymore. But look at that, now it's not jittering anymore and the glow looks a lot nicer if you ask me. Next, to make this only appear when we scan, we'll need to go to our item that we created in the previous tutorial. So for example, for me I have it here, so I'm just gonna press on the edit BP item, and this is gonna open our BP item. We'll need to change this. In the previous one we were setting an overlay to make the item glow. Now we'll enable first the custom depth and also set the value that we have in our stencil. So set custom depth, set render custom depth, the first one, and we'll need to enable this value enabled, and then afterwards we'll drag from the cube again from our mesh and we'll search again custom depth and we'll set custom depth stencil value, and this is where we'll write the code that we need. So currently in our material we have stencil ID set to 2. You can set it to whatever you want, but just always make sure you stick with the ID that you set. So here we'll set 2. Afterwards, after 2 seconds delay, which allows us to see the highlight, we can take the set custom depth again and we'll turn it off, and there you go. Now when we go in game and I press the scan button, we can scan and we can see the items through the walls the way we want it, the way we like it. Now you see the highlights are a bit edgy, so in the next tutorial we'll see how to fix that. Now for those that stick around till the end, I have a little bonus for you. If you're not a fan of outlines, we can change that. We can make it a full gold glow of the item, and we'll do that by making a copy of this custom stencil and red mask. We'll make a copy, plug from our screen position mask to the scene texture custom stencil, and then we'll plug the mask from the stencil to the absolute, to the ABS. Now when we'll go and scan, look at that, just a quick simple full highlight of the entire item. Well guys, that was it. In the next tutorial we'll improve this. One thing we'll do, we'll cover all edges, so we won't have things like for the item at the back, or like way at the back, based on the camera we are splitting its image in 2 directions, so that's causing those weird corners at the corners. So we'll fix that by making a 4th directional split, and then we'll also make it so based on the camera distance at a certain point the outline will stop expanding, because right now the further you are from the object, the bigger the outline, basically, to make up for it. If you like to see that, make sure to subscribe. If this was helpful, drop a like and a comment, it helps me a lot. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.